Grayson Report. Happy Thursday. What is up? Heather, whatever, Matthew, Julissa, Tyrana, Carol, Pekka, Lisa Boo. How's everyone doing? We'll wait a few more minutes for people to trickle in. Don't be afraid to say hi. Did anyone do anything interesting in the last couple of days? Joanne, Matthew, how's it going? While we wait for people to trickle in before we get into the main topics I have planned for you guys today. Julissa, what's up? While we wait, did you know that there's going to be, for fans of, I know this isn't spooky, but this is the talk of the news right now. If you're a fan of sriracha, you guys know that there was a shortage. Lisa Bugo, Brandon, how's it going? Lisa Bugo's Project Metal Music says A up. So if you're a fan of sriracha, you've known that there was a shortage and it's starting to trickle back in, but they're saying that there's another shortage. And I swear nothing can compare to sriracha. I mean, I guess they were trying to replace it with some generic one. It just does not taste the same for me. But it goes another sriracha shortage while we wait for people to trickle in here. May be on the horizon. What happened? Hu Feng Foods, or Hai Feng Foods, the producer of the most popular variety of sriracha sauce, has faced several supply glitches over the years. I believe the warehouse is local here in Southern California. For years, the Hu Feng Foods, the most popular producer of sriracha sauce, has faced production headwinds. The company has told distributors it will halt production of all its products until at least September. The maker of the most popular variety of sriracha sauce told distributors last week, and it is the best tasting sriracha sauce by my opinion, told distributors last week that it would halt production of all its products until at least September, rekindling fears of another prolonged shortage of the beloved condiment. So if you guys have sriracha, hold on to it. It might be worth some money on eBay or something. For years, the manufacturer has had difficulty at times obtaining the red jalapeno chilies it needs to make the sauce. The sweet and spicy condiment is a fixture in Asian restaurants, particularly Vietnamese ones. Hu Feng representatives declined to comment on Thursday. No other companies that produce sriracha seem to be affected by the chili shortage. Here's what we know. Gunner Girl, what's up? Wendy, how's it going? Delay Alex, and while we wait, I'm going to go over this article. If you guys are wondering why I'm talking about sriracha, sriracha can be spooky. I'm just kidding. But just while we wait for people to trickle in, why did Hu Feng Foods halt production last week? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this. Sent a letter to distributors announcing the pause, saying its chilies were too green to proceed with production as it's affecting the color of the product. Who cares? Make it green. Dude, if I saw green sriracha, I would buy it. The letter, first reported by USA Today, said production wouldn't resume until after Labor Day when the next chili season begins. Craig Underwood, a California farmer who grew red jalapenos for the company for nearly 3 decades and is now a companion manufacturer, says the chilies were likely picked too late in the season. At Mr. Underwood's farm, Underwood's Ranch's chilies are typically picked from mid-July until the end of October. The jalapenos start out green, then mature to a chocolate color, and are picked when they turn red. Why have there been shortages, you ask? Tammy, how's it going? Hu Feng Foods has limited its sriracha production several times in the last few years. In 2022, a company representative said the problem stemmed from several spiraling events, including unexpected crop failures from the spring chili harvest. That year, a persistent drought in Mexico hindered irrigation and caused low yields. So that's what caused the first shortage. Last year, the company also announced decreased production of its signature sriracha sauce because of a shortage of raw material and said it didn't know when the supply would increase. It did start to trickle in a little bit, but I don't know for how long. The company had struggled to find the red jalapenos it needs to make sriracha since 2017 when it ended its nearly 3-decade long exclusive relationship with Underwood Ranches over a payment dispute. Hugh Fung Foods got themselves in the situation when the relationship with Underwood Ranches broke down, said Stephanie Walker, co-director of the Chili Pepper Institute at New Mexico State University. There's a Chili Pepper Institute? Okay. It's an important lesson for other processors that you need to take care of your grower based and keep those strong relationships intact. That is true with any business relationship. Mr. Underwood said he dedicated much of his resources to helping the company, sometimes growing at least 40% more chilies a year just to meet the company's demands. In 2019, a jury awarded Mr. Underwood more than $23 million in damages after a year-long lawsuit between the grower and the manufacturer. It took a lot to put together the distribution system that we created over 20 years, and he hasn't done a really good job at rebuilding that, Mr. Underwood said. So where is the sauce made? I believe, yes, it's like I said earlier, it is local. It produces a sauce at a factory in Irwindale, California. That's probably about, I want to say, 20 minutes from where I live. In 2022, a company representative said it uses 100 million pounds of chili each year. The manufacturer origins date back to 1975 when David Tran, its founder, fled Vietnam and moved to Los Angeles. He made his own version of sriracha, a sauce believed to have been invented by a Thai woman named Thanom Chakapak, and by 1980 was delivering orders in his blue Chevy van. Are there alternatives? They are, but they do not taste the same, in my opinion. Other companies, I mean, even Tabasco even jumped on it. There was a Tabasco sriracha. I don't know if you guys saw that. Other companies have entered the sriracha market in recent years. Mr. Underwood started selling his own sriracha sauce in 2020. Orders picked up last year when he rebranded it as Sriracha Dragon Sauce. Tabasco, which uses red jalapenos from the United States and Latin America in its sriracha, created a website to meet the surge in demand. So, apparently, there's going to be another shortage. If you guys like sriracha, I do. On certain things, I even tried the competitors, it does not taste the same. Wendy goes, when you harvest peppers, if they are green, do a batch, then let them go until red. Daniel, what is up? Leonore, how's it going? Dusty, what is up? Lisa Boo, I don't care about the color. I don't either. Lisa Boo goes, they don't taste the same at all on eggs. Project Metal Music, A up. Carol's watching Gladiator with Russell Crowe. I like that movie too. Russell Crowe was awesome in that film. But apparently, we are going to have to wait till September to possibly see it back on shelves. So if you still have a bottle, hold on to it and use it sparingly. Or sell it on eBay and become rich. No, you did not hear that from me. Wendy goes, the color changes the heat of the peppers. I did not know that. Hold on a second while I queue up my next. I know there's people that are going to do that. There is. It's like when the Twinkies years ago, people were selling Twinkies for like 4,000, a box of Twinkies for $4,000. So I'm pretty sure sriracha is going to be up there somewhere. Dusty goes, I've never ever bought sriracha. I have a Hawaiian red chili pepper bush in my garden. Oh, that is cool, Dusty. As always, Skeleduck is somewhere in this background. Just remind me and I will. Let me see if I could get his picture. His picture is in the upper right-hand corner here, and he is somewhere in this background. Just remind me, and I reveal his location at the end of the stream. Just remind me because sometimes I do forget. I do not have a green thumb, so if I try to grow anything, it will die, unfortunately. Lisa Bugo's better get some more than true, if you can find it. Gunner Girl goes, my son loves it, but I don't like spicy stuff. I'm a wimp. I'm not too big on spicy, but I do like a tiny bit of kick, but not too much. Because my stomach can't take it anymore. If I have too much spicy or even raw onions sometimes, my stomach doesn't agree with my stomach sometimes. Matthew goes, I know Tallahassee tried looking everywhere for Twinkies. Daniel Miles goes, my girlfriend has 180 little apple trees thriving. She has 2 green thumbs this year. That is cool. That's cool, Daniel. You won't have to buy apples. Actually, that's kind of cool. Wendy goes, I have a picky tolerance for spices. All right, guys, let's get into the nitty gritty, the spooky wooky, the things that make you hide underneath the covers. Well, I don't know. I just wanted to say that. Joanne goes, make your own cider? True. Oh, yeah, true. We are going to get into the history of ghost stories. I found this by accident. I was searching. I was doing a search to see what topics to discuss today, and I found this by accident, and I was like, ooh, this sounds interesting. I do have 2 articles. I'm not sure if they talk about the same thing. They seem like they this one kind of goes into the nitty-gritty and the other one kind of goes in a different view. But well, let's dive in. So, since ancient times, ghost stories, and you know me, I love ghost stories. Daniel Miles goes, spooky, spooky skeletons. I do love ghost stories, so seeing where they came about will be kind of cool. Since ancient times, ghost stories, tales of spirits who return from the dead to haunt the place they left behind, have figured prominently in the folklore of many cultures around the world. A rich subset of these tales involve historical figures ranging from queens and politicians to writers and gangsters, many of whom died early, violent, or mysterious deaths. What is a ghost, you may ask? The concept of a ghost, also known as a specter, is based on the ancient idea that a person's spirit exists separately from his or her body and may continue to exist after that person dies. Because of his idea, many societies began to use funeral rituals as a way of ensuring that the dead person's spirit would not return to haunt the living. Did you know the notorious mobster Al Capone has reportedly appeared to disrespectful visitors at his funeral plot in an Illinois cemetery? Spectral banjo music has supposedly been heard coming from inside Capone's old cell at Alcatraz, where he was one of the first inmates. Places that are haunted are usually believed to be associated with some occurrence or emotions in the ghost's past. They are often a former home or the place where he or she died. Aside from actual ghostly apparitions, traditional signs of haunting range from strange noises, lights, odors, or breezes, or to the displacement of objects, bells that ring spontaneously, or musical instruments that seem to play on their own. Early ghost sightings. In the 1st century AD, the great Roman author and statesman Pliny, I'm going to assume that the P is silent, Pliny the Younger, it's a great name, recorded one of the first notable ghost stories in his letters, which became famous for their vivid account of life during the heyday of the Roman Empire. Lenny reported that the specter of an old man with a long beard rattling chains was haunting his house in Athens. The Greek writer Lucian and Lenny's fellow Roman Plaudius also wrote memorial ghost stories. Centuries later, in AD 856, the first poltergeist, a ghost that causes physical disturbance such as loud noises or objects falling or being thrown around, was reported at a farmhouse in Germany. The poltergeist tormented the family living there by throwing stones and starting fires, among other things. Wendy goes, asking for a friend what happens when a person passes in their house and is waked in the same house. That is a good question, Wendy. Nerd report in the house. Chris, how's it going? That is a good question, but I mean, I would think, Wendy, if you were at peace and you would know that you were at peace, you would most likely be able to rest, and I don't think you would haunt that area. But I feel like it's more of the people that maybe passed away due to an untimely death. Um, might be someone that would stay around because they wouldn't realize that they had passed, or restless spirits that had unfinished business. But I feel like if you were at peace with yourself and you knew you were dying, say you were sick, and you made peace with yourself, I feel like that's when people would be at peace. If you get what I'm saying, they wouldn't. I feel like they wouldn't roam the afterlife. Wendy goes, but could energies could still exist because they have the residual hauntings where it's just things that happen over and over again. It's not an intelligent haunting. Anne goes, oh, I want to haunt people just for shits and giggles. I think I'm with you on that one, Anne. There's a lot of people I would haunt just to have fun. Lisa Boo goes, energy never ends, just changes of form. I agree with you, Lisa Boo. 3 famous historical ghosts. One of the most frequently reported ghost sightings in England dates back to the 16th century. Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII and mother of Queen Elizabeth I, was executed at the Tower of London in May of 1536 after being accused of witchcraft, treason, incense, and adultery. If you guys watched that show, what was it, The Tudors? That is basically what they accused her of, but she did not give her husband a male heir. So the Tudors kind of went into about that, not more into the witchcraft, treason, incest, and adultery. Sightings of Boleyn's ghost have been reported at the tower as well as in various other locations, including her childhood home, Hever Castle in Kent. America's own rich tradition of historical ghosts begins with one of its most illustrious founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin. Beginning in the late 19th century, Franklin's ghost was seen near the library of the American Philosophical Society in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Some reports held that the statue of Franklin in front of the society comes to life and dances in the streets. That one I would have to see to believe. I find that I'm a little skeptical about that one. I would have to point a camera at the statue for days to see if it actually does that. Wendy goes, the best revenge is a plate served cold. Chris Barber goes, I would mess with the living like crazy. Wendy goes, I have a haunt list. Though many ghost sightings have been reported at the White House in Washington, D.C., over the years, perhaps no political figure has made a frequent appearance in the afterlife as Abraham Lincoln. The nation's 16th president, who was also killed by an assassin's pew-pews in April of 1865. Lincoln, formerly a lawyer and congressman for Illinois, is said to have been seen wandering near the old Springfield Capitol building as well as his nearby law offices. At the White House, everyone from first ladies to queens to prime ministers have reported seeing the ghost or feeling the presence of Honest Abe, particularly during the administration of Franklin D. Roosevelt, another president who guided the country through a time of great upheaval and war. That would be, I don't know about you guys, but that would be so cool. And I don't think that would be, I don't care if it's in ghost form, that would be so cool to see Abraham Lincoln. I don't know about you guys, but for me, that would be so cool, even if it is in ghost form. It'd probably scare the crap out of me for a minute, and then I'll realize, oh my God, this is like amazing. Dusty goes, can a ghost haunt another ghost? That's a good question, Dusty. Haunted places. Some locations simply seem to lend themselves to hauntings, perhaps due to the dramatic or grisly events that occur there in the past. Over the centuries, sightings of spectral armies have been reported on famous battlefields around the world, including important battle sites from the English Civil War in the 17th century, the bloody Civil War battlefield of Gettysburg, and the World War I sites of Gallipoli, Gallipoli near Turkey, and the Somme, northern France. Another particularly active center of paranormal activity is the HMS Queen Mary. I have been on the Queen Mary, but it was years ago. I think the last time I went on that ship was before I was in high school. So I want to say maybe junior high school or maybe even before that. A cruise ship built in 1936 for the Cunard White Star Line. After serving in the British Royal Navy in World War II, the 81,000-ton ship retired in Long Beach, California in 1967. It also, they just, because they were doing some renovations, they just also recently opened it a couple months ago. The plan was to turn it into a floating luxury hotel and resort. Since then, the Queen Mary has become notorious for a spectral presences. With more than 50 ghosts reported over the years, the ship's last chief engineer, John Smith, reported hearing unexplained sounds of voices from the area near the ship's bow, in almost the same location as a doomed British aircraft cruiser. The Caracoa had pierced a hole when it sank after an accidental wartime crash that killed more than 300 sailors abroad. Smith also claimed to have encountered the ghost of Winston Churchill, or at least his spectral cigar smoke, the Prime Minister's old stateroom aboard the ship. Many visitors, the Queen Mary, have reported seeing a phantom crew member in blue overalls walking the decks. Around the ship's swimming pool, reports have been made of mysterious splashes and ghostly women in old-fashioned bathing suits or dresses along the trails of wet footsteps appearing long after the pool has been drained. Among major cities, New York, Leonore! Dusty goes, well, that's kind of my thought. Those to haunt my list are about as old as me and most likely die around the same time as me. Among major cities, New York is especially rich with ghost stories. The spirit of Peter Stuyvesant, the city's last Dutch colonial governor, has been seen stomping around the East Village on his wooden leg since shortly after his death in 1672. The author, Mark Twain, is believed to haunt the stairwell of his one-time village apartment building, while the ghost of poet Dylan Thomas is said to sometimes occupy his usual corner table at the West Village's White House Tavern, where he drank a fatal 18 shots of scotch in 1953. Perhaps the most famous New York ghost is that of Aaron Burr, who served as vice president under Thomas Jefferson, but is best known for killing Alexander Hamilton in a duel in 1804. Burr's ghost is said to roam the streets of his old neighborhood, also the West Village. Burr's spectral activity is forced particularly on one restaurant, one if by land, two if by sea, which is located in a Barrow Street building that was once Burr's carriage house. So this article kind of gave a little um insight as to when the first ghost was spotted or mostly, well, not ghost, it said more like paranormal, like poltergeist activity was in Germany. Jennifer Marie, what's up? Let me pull up. I also have this article. So I also have this article that gives a little ghostly. Let me get it. Give me a second, guys. That's also the history and ghost stories. Hope in the Dark, the ubiquity of the undead as protagonists in modern entertainment media, from novels to movies to video games, has exponentially increased student interest in the history of ghosts and zombies. Every age and culture has its stories about the returning dead, but teachers of pre modern Europe are particularly well served by the abundance of accounts in English translation. Ancient and medieval European ghost stories do not meet the expectations of modern tales of supernatural horror. They do not rely on shock tactics to frighten the reader. The ghosts themselves are typically not malformed in appearance or malevolent in intent, and the purpose of these stories is di- didactic rather than entertaining. Lisa Boo, thank you for being a member of the Wolf Pack for 13 months. Sending lots of love to everyone. Hugs, hearts for Lisa Boo, guys. Hold on, guys. Yet, these tales are rewarding resources of teachers teaching students about classical antiquity and the Western Middle Ages because they provide us with the opportunity to ask probing questions about how people in the past imagined the relationship between the living and the dead. From what otherworldly abode do the spirits of the departed return? What form do ghosts take and how do they communicate? Why are they deprived of eternal rest and what do they require from the living in order to obtain it? As rich and vivid cultural constructions, ancient and medieval specters give up valuable secrets about the world views of the authors who told stories about their return. Most pre modern hauntings follow narrative conventions. An unquiet spirit appears in a certain locale or to a specific individual, reveals the reason of its unrest, and receives help from the living to find repose in the afterlife. Ancient ghosts often reminded the living to observe proper funerary rites and thereby provide them with an easy passage to the other world. Such was the case with the hapless sailor Elpenor in Homer's The Odyssey, whose ghost implored Odysseus to bury him according to custom after he died in an accident. Likewise, as recounted by Pliny the Younger, a nameless wraith seeking a respectable burial haunted a rental property in Roman Athens. Project Metal Music, thank you for being a member of the Wolf Pack for 7 months. And thank you, Anne, for gifting 5 memberships. Welcome, Tammy, Kathy B, Angel, Beth, and hugs to the Wolf Pack. Hearts for Project Metal Music and Anne. Thank you, Anne, and thank you, Project Metal Music. You are awesome, both of you. As centuries passed, the details of these stories changed to accommodate new belief systems. The meteoric success of Christianity in the 4th century triggered a groundswell of concern for the faith of Christian souls after death and modulated the urgency of their petition from beyond the grave. While the teachings of the early church were clear that the soul lay in repose as though asleep until the resurrection of the dead and their judgment by God at the end of time, apocryphal apocryphal writings like the Vision of Paul, composed CA 400 depicted an afterlife immediately after death but preceding the final judgment, where human souls persisted in recognizable bodies that were vulnerable to physical punishment, commemorate commensurate commensurate with their sins. In her eloquent book, Moments of Reckoning, Oxford University Press to 2019, Ellen Muhlberger has dubbed this alarming new phase of human existence the post-mortal. It is from this liminal place between heaven and hell that the shades of the Christian dead return to our world, fretful of their eternal fate. Ghost stories provide us with the opportunity to ask probing questions about how people in the past imagined the relationship between the living and the dead. What's up, shamanistic unicorn? Rochelle, how's it going? Jennifer Barrigos, did the author of the article consult at the... Believe me, it looks like it, Jennifer Marie. The dead remain stubbornly social in pre-modern ghost stories, as the notion of the temporary residence of souls in a punitive afterlife took hold in the Western imagination. So too did the idea that these spirits could benefit from the help of the living. Beginning in the late 6th century with anecdotes recounted in the dialogues of Pope Gregory the Great, 590 to 604, Christian apparitions returned to petition listeners to pray for their release from punishment in the hereafter. Pithy and memorial, these stories were primarily pastoral in purpose. The identity of the suffering spirits and the nature of their pleas provide us with a barometer of the kinds of people to whom Christian bishops and priests directed moral exhortation, as well as the kinds of behavior that they sought to control. Pope Gregory's audience was mostly monastic, and so too were his ghosts and their sins. Take, for example, the unfortunate Justus, spelled Justus, a monk who hid 3 gold coins and suffered in 5 after his death because of his greed until 30 days of consecutive masses offered on his behalf by his brethren released him from his torment. Later imitators of Pope Gregory, such as Abbot Peter the Venerable, 1122 to 56, and Caesarius of Hesterbach, ca. 1180 to 1240, tailored the details of these traditions to address new audiences, particularly lay people, but they did little to alter the overall pattern of the narratives. And it is also a reading lesson. Jennifer Marie goes, a college professor once told me the average reading level of adults is 6th grade. This article needs to chill on the big words. I agree, Jennifer Marie. That's why I said it's also a reading lesson. My reading level just went to 12th grade. Just reading that paragraph. In the later Middle Ages, however, new experience. Who wrote this article? I don't want to lose my spot. Okay, so this is Perspective of History, and it was Scott G. Bruce. In the later Middle Ages, however, new experiences with the undead challenged the expectations of the ghost story genre. In the 12th century, for example, authors struggled to explain reports of animated corpses terrorizing villages in northern England. These were not the spirits of the dead returning to seek the aid of the living, but rather the bloated and bloodied bodies of notorious men who rose from their graves at night to torment their neighbors with violence and pestilence. One was an infamous churchman known as the Hunder priest, or hound priest, owning to his inordinate love of hunting, who terrified his wife by lurking in her bedroom before crushing her nearly to death with the immense weight of his dead body. Unable to find precedents for this phenomenon in the books of ancient authors, the monastic chronicler William of Newborough was a loss to explain how the dead were rising. His stories of rampaging revenants departed from time honored literary models and anticipated a genre that would not find prominence until the early 21st century. The Zombie Survival Guide. Williams' breathless narrative related how a band of monks armed with axe and shovels waited in a graveyard by night for the dead man to rise and then, after a pitched battle, harried him back to his tomb. Once the monks had excavated his monstrous corpse, they destroyed it with fire, but only after they had completed the grisly work of extracting his cursed heart. Bernadette, what's up? While ancient and medieval poets from Homer to Dante told stories about Heres, this actually sounds like a college, like somebody wrote this for a college dissertation. It does. While ancient and medieval poets from Homer to Dante told stories about heroes and visionaries who visited the underworld to witness the fate of the fallen, the spirits of the deceased themselves had not played a starring role in the history of spectral literature until recently. A thought provoking example is George Saunders' experimental novel Lincoln in the Bardo, Random House 2017. Set in the Civil War era, it featured a cast of dead souls trapped in the Bardo, a term for a liminal post-mortal state borrowed from Buddhism. While the characters have been disfigured by the frustrated desires of their mortal lives, most do not even realize that they are dead. Their attention focuses on the newly arrived soul of a boy named Willie Lincoln, who tarries in this antechamber of eternity because the grief of his father, the famous president, tethers him unnaturally to the mortal world. In reversal of a century-old tradition, the mourning of the living disturbs the repose of the dead. In Buddhist and Taoist traditions, the neglect of ancestors or misdeeds in life could give rise to hungry ghosts. Underlying this rich literacy or literary tradition are fundamental questions of universal interest about the fate of the dead, the poroseness of the boundary separating their world from ours, and the social obligation that the living had to provide for the deceased in their need. This attention to the memory of the dead and the responsibility of living for their care was not unique to ancient polytheism or medieval Christianity. In fact, Western ghost stories shine most brightly as tools for teaching when they are read in tandem with tales of the returning dead from other religious cultures. In Buddhism, I know there's a lot of cultures like um we so much don't do this, but I know there's a lot of cultures that do leave offerings for the dead, and they have rituals that they do for the dead so that they can flourish in the afterlife. But here in the US we don't quite do that. In Buddhist and Taoist traditions, for example, neglect of ancestors or misdeed in life could give rise to hungry ghosts. These fearful spirits aided in the underworld, but they walk the earth during the seventh month of the Chinese calendar. In anticipation of their arrival, communities celebrated the Hungry Ghost Festival to provide symbolic sustenance, not only to honor their own ghostly ancestors, but also to ward off the ill will of the unknown phantoms in their midst. Like their Western analogs, the practice of the care of the hungry ghost in Chinese culture is grounded on the hope that when we die, we too can rely on the living for help as we face the consequences of our mortal actions in the world to come. Give me a second here. In the world to come. The trappings of pre-modern ghost stories have been remarkably consistent in the Western tradition. Lenny the Younger's chain rattling Roman apparition could be mistaken for the ghost of Jacob Marley in Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, 1843. The genre has also retained its didactic function down to the present day, but 20th century authors have purposed it in creative and instructive ways worth exploring in the classroom. Some modern tales have doubled as narratives about the lingering trauma of slavery, Toni Morrison's Beloved, and a warning about the injustice of cultural appropriation, Hari Kanzuru's White Tears. Others aspire only to entertain with no higher purpose than to conjure the thrill of fear. A classic example is M.R. James' 1904 short story, "O Whistle and I'll Come to You, My Lad," concerning a man who inadvertently summoned a figure in pale, fluttering draperies, ill defined, by blowing a metal whistle found in a ruined church. Read it by candlelight if you dare. So, basically, to sum that up, it's basically ghost stories have evolved um, through different belief systems. Jennifer Marie goes, "Oh my God, I need to read this article with a dictionary." That's how I felt. So, in layman terms, the guy could have just said, people have different belief systems, and this is how the ghost stories stem. That would have been so much easier to read. It is very interesting, though. I agree with you, Shamanistic Unicorn Tam. Chris Berg goes, "I always enjoyed reading Alice in Wonderland." Dusty goes, "People give Pele gin here in Hawaii, special locations at the volcano." Wendy goes, "I was christened Catholic." Pix says, "I was then raised in a Baptist church as a child." Jennifer Marie goes, "I'm American. I expect the dead to leave me their wealth." Rochelle goes, "Very well. Definitely a dictionary of replica of the original Webster dictionary to make it really fun." That guy must have wrote it. I felt like he wrote that as a college paper to get his degree or something. Jennifer Marie goes, "Was Scott trying to win an award? Did he have a minimum word length to reach? I'm glad someone understands words enough to pick up in context clues." Carol goes, "The article sure will sound like a dissertation using all those articulate wording." It does. It did. Like it was a college paper for his doctorate and God knows what. But it was an interesting article. It kind of gave you an idea of where ghost stories come from. And as I said earlier, in layman's terms, it's what we believe in, and that's how the ghost stories came about. And it also mentioned when Christianity came through, it kind of shifted, and how Asian cultures have different beliefs from what we have here, which we kind of all knew that already, but it was kind of interesting. Good Girl goes, "I only have a high school diploma, can't keep up. New ones are always added." Oh, Angel, how's it going? Jennifer Rigo's Lisa coming in with spark notes. Believe me. Rochelle goes, "No need for college or high school diploma when we have YouTube University." but I mean, it does make sense that stories like the Native American has their folklore, Asians have their own folklore, we have our own folklore, we have our own style of ghost story. And it's usually, it's pretty much the same. The article had mentioned where like the simple ghost story is where you get a haunting in whatever location you're in. You get clues. The living decides to put those clues together to and find out what happened to this person or ghost that is haunting them, and they find out that they had died a tragic death, and we find out how they died, and usually it's It's a sad death, um, and the story goes on. Bernadette goes, "Booze Clues." Carol goes, "Different religions have different ghost stories, but basically same." Leonore goes, "This writer wants to be a parapsychologist." Kyle, what's up, Kyle? Internet education. Very true, Carol. And as I said earlier, Asian cultures tend, not just Asian cultures, there are other cultures, but they tend to have offerings for the dead. We don't do that too much here in the United States, but and that could be another ghost story of that can differ from ours. Tyrano goes, "Very interesting." So, guys, what did you think of that college dissertation that I just read? It was interesting. It was interesting. It gave some insight as to where ghost stories come from. I love ghost stories. Jeffrey Murray goes, "It was a mouthful." Rochelle goes, "Very well written." At least, yeah, I agree. At least it's very well written. Sometimes I read articles and it's not written or at all. Like this guy triple checked, spell checked, proofread about 50 times. Kyle goes, "Somebody was pushing for an A." Bernadette goes, "I'll replay and look up the words later." Dusty goes, "Some good stuff in there." There was. There was. It was a well articulate article. I'm gonna put it that way because sometimes you get an article and it doesn't go in depth. It just kind of goes, "Well, there was a red house." Oh, and I've read articles to you guys where it starts off like, like an example, there was a red house, a ghost was sitting in there, a priest went in there and cleaned the house, the end. And you're like, why was that ghost there? Well, you know what? It leaves I've read articles where they've left loose ends and you're like, okay. And thank you for gifting another 5 memberships, hearts for Anne, and welcome Rochelle, the Shamanistic Unicorn Tam, Vin G, Eeyore Blues, Leslie, to the Wolf Pack, hearts for Anne, and the new Wolf Pack members. As a reminder, your membership is good for 1 month. Hearts for Anne and all the new Wolf Pack members. Thank you, Anne. You are awesome. Rochelle, thank you for gifting 5 more memberships. Welcome, Kimberly, Invisible Rose, Nos for Katu, Reggie Pay, Matthew, Ketty Lewis. Hearts for Rochelle and all the new Wolfpack members. Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you, Anne. Both of you are awesome, and welcome to the new Wolfpack members. Don't be afraid to say hi. We do not bite. At all. We will all say hi to you. It's not scary or anything. Cuz I like seeing y'all talk in the chat, so don't be afraid to talk. Angel, cuz I know I'm a lurker, so I understand. Like sometimes I'm a little I get a little shy and not say hi, but feel free to say hi. Angel, thank you for your super sticker. Hearts for Angel. Thank you, Angel. I appreciate that. You're awesome. Wendy goes, "Maybe a nibble." I found I was going to do this on my previous stream, um, and apparently the article I had set aside was you had to pay to see it, and it was $16 a a month or something like that for to see this article. But I did find someone else talking about this article, and I guess it's the first documented haunting. I want to say in the U.S. because in the previous article I had read, it said that the first poltergeist haunting was in Germany. So I found another place that had the article that's free. So it's the first documented haunting was in a small town in Maine. Lisa Boo goes, I lurk when I'm reading. Dickie Bella, how's it going? Carol goes, I lurk all the time, but that's okay. Only because I'm usually doing something when I listen and watch the stream. Kyle goes, free. I could afford that. So according to a poll, and this is 94, it's like I guess it's like a radio station. I don't know where, but according to a poll done by YouGov America on the paranormal and supernatural, 37% of Americans believe some people have psychic abilities, and 7% of us think vampires and werewolves are real. The poll also found that the 36% of Americans believe in ghosts. We know that there are many ghost stories and sightings all over the world. However, did you know that Maine is actually the home of the first documented ghost story in the United States? That's right. Though it may not be the first ghost sighting in the world or even the US, it was the first ever to be documented. Let us go back in time to the winter of 1799 to the small coastal town of Sullivan, Maine. Sullivan, Maine. According to Bangor Daily News, and by the way, that was the website that wanted 16.99 or whatever it was to view the article. This is where and when the first ghost haunting of the U.S. was documented. 3 days after the passing of a young woman named Nellie Butler, many residents of Sullivan claimed that they saw and heard her ghost. This haunting, this perfect example of someone who didn't proofread their article. This haunting was witnessed and recorded by Reverend Abraham Cummings, a traveling preacher. He believed the apparition was a spirit sent from the heaven. So what did Cummings do? Bangor Daily News states that Reverend Abraham Cummings collected statements from 31 witnesses from the town and wrote a book about it called Immortality Proved by the Testimony of Sense, in which is considered the doctrine of specters and the existence of a particular specter. According to the testimonies of the Cummings record, that Cummings recorded, the first appearance of what was assumed to be Nellie Butler was in the basement of the Blasdell house near the rocky shore of Taunton Bay. This basement is where witnesses say that they saw the ghost most of the time and where the entity would actually speak to them. It seems that the spirit of Nellie Butler was trying to orchestrate the marriage of Nellie Butler's former husband, 29-year-old George Butler, to Lydia Blasdell, who was 15 years old at the time, according to Bangor Daily News. The good news is that it seems her voice was heard and honored. On May 28, 1800, Lydia and George were married on Butler Point. However, according to New England Today, Nellie's last visit was to George in his bedroom at night, where she yelled at him for remarrying after promising Nellie on her deathbed that he would not. Either way, there's no denying that there was a ghost that was both seen and heard in a small town in Maine. There are many haunted locations in Maine. However, it is pretty cool to say that right here in New England, we have the first documented ghost sighting in the country. So then it goes on to 30 haunted places in Maine, but I won't go on to the 30. So basically, Nellie haunted her husband because He remarried, and uh he remarried when he promised that he would not. Carol goes, Stephen King lives in Maine, so it makes sense that a lot of books are based in Maine. The shamanistic unicorn Tam, anyone just jump a heartbeat? Rochelle with the proofread. No, because I'm when with proofread, and the only reason why I did that, Rochelle, is because I hate typos. Like when I post something, it annoys me if there's a typo. Like I quadruple check to make sure there's a typo, but you'll always find one. Kyle goes, no wonder Stephen King sets the majority of his books in the state. He does, actually. He does. Leonora goes, the writer needed more schooling. No offense to anyone here. Wendy wants to look at the history. I could go into the history. Hold on. Well, it's 30 haunted places in Maine. Since we're on the topic of Stephen King, and um he does like to uh set his stories in Maine. I've always wanted to go to Maine. I've never been. Most of the locations on this list share a little about what has been claimed as paranormal happenings for these locations, which can include seeing apparitions, hearing strange noises, or maybe even spookier experiences involving unexplained conditions of vehicles, shaking beds, or flying dishes. Here are 30 haunted places in Maine. For anyone wanting to go to Maine and checking out haunted locations. The Charles Inn, located at 20 Broad Street in downtown Bangor. The inn has been featured on the TV show East Coast Ghost Trackers for its known paranormal activity, and even has a room dedicated to their first, it's supposed to have pictures, to their visit, room 305. What is up with the room 3 something? Because I know another hotel I went to, it was like 309 or something. And I think at the Queen Mary, it's like 340. So what is up with the 300s in the rooms? Lucerne Inn, located at 2517 Main Road in Denham. It is said that a murder-s occurred in the inn, and the presence of these two people are still around. Phantom voices, twinkling piano playing, and shadows are also witnessed. One room in particular, room 8, is said to have had paranormal activity of a door repeatedly opening on its own. Odd occurrences of TVs turning on their own have also been noted. Carol goes, it's a beautiful state. I have seen it in pictures and on video as well. It is a beautiful state. Greenville Inn at Moosehead Lake, located at 40 Norris Street in Greenville. Stories of the inn include a young woman considered a permanent resident of the inn who has interacted with guests, calling her very sweet and friendly. Another source says the haunting includes unexplained voices and tap dancing as well. I would not mind having an encounter with a very sweet and friendly ghost. Harpswell Harbor. The harbor that opens up to the Atlantic Ocean is said to have a phantom ship that floats in it. In 1866, the New England poet John Greenleaf Whittier called the famous phantom ship the Dead Ship of Harpswell. Mount Hope Cemetery. Bangor, it is said that one of the cemetery's most infamous residents, gangster Al Brady, haunts the grounds. It is also the location of the haunted house and cemetery of the Stephen King film Pet Cemetery. And I love that film, the original. Barry Manor Inn, located at 81 Talbot Avenue in Rockland. The destination is said to be the home of 3 Victorian women who are apparitions. I wonder why the pictures aren't loading. It's probably my computer. Studio Ghost. Captain Lord Mansion, located at 6 Pleasant Street in Kennebunkport. The house was built for Captain Nathaniel Lord, but he died before its completion. The room, once called Wisteria, now named the Lincoln Bedroom, is said to be said to be the location of sightings of the captain's wife and seen in Victorian clothing. Other sources say that you could smell her perfume. They should have kept the name Wisteria. Would you like the Wisteria room, madam? Wisteria sounds more creepy than Lincoln Bedroom. I don't know, for me, at least. Chris Barber goes, Mom and I took a tour all over New England one fall. I have never really been on the East Coast aside from Florida. Jennifer Murray goes, your computer rejected the BTS concert that was playing earlier. Wendy goes, I vacationed many times in Maine. That is super cool. Kyle goes, imagine Stephen King is like the fictional R.L. Steins from the Goosebump movies. All his stories, creatures are written into life and sealed in the state of Maine to ensure they don't terrorize the world. Captain Lindsay House Inn, located at 5 Lindsay Street in Rockland. People claim to hear phantom voices and furniture moving at unoccupied locations in the building. Guests have seen faces and furniture as well as witness unusual appearance of handprints and seat impressions. More ghostly instances include slamming doors and even sightings of Captain Lindsay himself. James Fairfield House, located at 8 Pleasant Street, suite number 3 in Kennebunkport. The inn was formerly called the Captain Fairfield Inn and was built by Captain James Fairfield. They should have kept it as Captain Fairfield Inn. That sounds cool. It is also where he died of pneumonia, but may still be around despite his passing. Paranormal activity started happening during some renovations of the inn when an apparition appeared in the corner of a basement. It is mentioned by observers that the presence of the captain is a friendly one. The Shaw Mutt Inn, located at 14 Field Point Road in Kennebunkport. The secluded coastal property is no longer an inn, but is said to be located where a blonde woman in a long blue dress is. Finally, not a woman in white, but a woman with a long blue dress. The story of her haunting is that her husband committed S due to his homosexuality and has been seen on the former inn's property as well as in the house next door to the former inn. The Carriage House Inn, the location is at 120 East Main Street in Searsport, but is no longer open as an inn. People have reported to sense the presence of 2 individuals who passed unexpectedly while staying at the inn. Phantom smells such as cigar smoke occur, as do sounds of knocks, whispers, and music occur without any explanation. Chapman Inn. Carol goes Kennebunkport. No, that's okay. Thank you, Carol, because I knew I was not pronouncing it correctly. I did know. Nerd Report is in the house. Kenneport. Or Kennebunkport. Kennebunkport. Chapman Inn, located at 2 Church Street in Bethel. The Chapman Inn is claimed to be only official certified haunted inn. Certified haunted inn in Western Maine. People experience doors opening and closing on their own, unexplained footsteps, cold drafts, multiple voices coming from empty rooms, a black cat sighting. It is theorized that one of the spirits of the house is the sickly Abigail Chapman, a daughter of one of the longtime owners of the house who died when she was just 16 due to ongoing illness. I wonder why we see a black cat sighting. That is interesting. Museum of Old York, located at 3 Lindsay Road in York. It is said that a witch apparition with white hair is hanging out at the old town hall. People have also claimed to see windows opened on their own cold spots and a lady apparition who walks down the road near the building. It is also claimed that children at the preschool down the road have seen the white witch and say she plays with them. So she does not seem like she's that bad. Limerick in Carol goes, LL Bean's main office is close by there. I used to deliver futons to them at their main warehouse. Oh, cool. Lime Rock Inn, I should say, located at 96 Lime Rock Street in Rockland. The Lime Rock Inn was once owned by a doctor who would see his patients at his residence. It is believed that the ghosts reside at the home where patients of the doctor and are seen throughout the building. Whispering and child apparitions have been witnessed as well. Heather Salvatore, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Welcome, Daisy, Lily Smith, Clout Trout, Carrie Knopp, TF, and J Dub Clothing. What's up, J Dub Clothing? Camp OG in the house. Well, thank you, Heather Salvatore, and welcome to all the Wolfpack members. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate it. You are awesome. Hearts to Heather and the new Wolfpack members. Guys, don't be afraid to say hi. We do not bite. The O Gun Quit. I I am so not pronouncing this correctly. The Ogunquit Playhouse, located at 10 Main Street in Ogunquit. Rumors of this location hauntings include unusual sounds, light flickering, and unexplained voices. J Dub Clothing goes, are you ready for Camp OG EDC, Lisa? Yes, I am. I cannot wait. I'm super excited. Not looking forward to the heat, but that's about it. But I'm super excited. Poland Spring Resort, located at 2 Rickard Road, Poland. This famous location is known to have the first owner walk the halls of the resort as well as a lady in white. We're going to read one more and then we'll move on to, because let me pick one that sounds interesting. We'll do a lighthouse. The Wood Island Lighthouse, the lighthouse in Saco Bay, is said to have the presence of former tenants Frederick Milliken and Howard Hobbs. It's even been visited by the TV show Ghost Hunters. Maine sounds like a pretty crazy. Girder Perk goes, how did he find you? I have J Dub Clothing goes, by the way, this is James. I'm on the phone with your husband. I knew it was you, James. I just didn't want to say your real name. Maine is definitely is haunted. No wonder Stephen King has all his books based in that area. Plus it's a beautiful area too. I've never been. I would love to go one day. It is on my bucket list. J-Dub Clothing goes, I'm gonna pronounce it wrong, James. I apologize. I want to say I'm gonna pronounce it wrong, and I'm gonna feel so bad. Tega says hi, so I do apologize, James, if I pronounce it wrong. Jennifer Marie goes, back east is all haunted because of all the wars and genocide. True, Jennifer Marie, true. Heather Salvatore, I'm not sure. Sometimes it does that to me where the chat disappears on the TV. I have no clue why. Heather, are you signed in on your TV? Because sometimes if you're not signed in, it doesn't show the chat. Matthew goes, I know someone who has been to Stephen King's place in his Christine Plymouth. Rochelle goes, love your ghost readings. We'll pray for your channel. And Lewis and Bernadette and Brandon continues to grow. Thank you, Rochelle. I appreciate that. Thank you, Rochelle. Rochelle goes, Plymouth are always haunted in my experience. That is weird, Heather Salvatore. So, my next article, this paranormal investigator, this is crazy though. This next article is crazy. Found it by accident. I always find my articles by accident, but this paranormal investigator decorates her home with used coffins, teeth, and cursed dolls. Paranormal investigator says she's a keeper of lost things and a custodian of stories. Is there even an article in this, or is it just all, or do I have to click on it? Hold on. All right. Jennifer Murray goes, Lisa is so close to 2K subs. I believe I am. Let me check real quick here. I am 7 away from 2K, guys. So just triple check to make sure you're subscribed, because YouTube likes to be scandalous. I used to use pesky, but YouTube is just plain scandalous, and they like to unsubscribe people. So triple check to make sure you are subscribed. So this paranormal investigator is crazy. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, Bernadette, teeth. It isn't Halloween, but it's always spooky o'clock in the home of paranormal investigator Rebecca Galantine, who has spent years collecting thousands of supposedly haunted items which decorate her Victorian house. Her Connecticut home is filled with cursed dolls, a bag of teeth, previously used coffins, doors from a psychiatric hospital, reputed to be haunted, and gently used toe tags, which are kept in drawers throughout the house. Rebecca's fascination with the paranormal began in childhood when she explored haunted and abandoned buildings in her hometown in Pennsylvania, and eventually made a career out of it as a paranormal investigator with her partner Josh Rossum, who shares her creepy home. So this is Rebecca. Rebecca, who has a huge following on TikTok, has been accused. I don't know why they gave the number. They could have said just huge following. Has been accused of being obsessed with death, but she sees herself as a custodian of stories and a keeper of lost things. I have deeply personal pieces that feel like they have a soul. It's not driven by value. Each piece came from a person who lived, and it represented them as a person, she says. There's so much personal history from people who lived normal lives that have essentially been wiped from history. The only way they can be remembered is by saving these things. She enjoys sharing unusual aspects of grief because grief is like a roller coaster which with highs and lows. I don't know about that one. Kyle goes, "Who's going to be the magnificent seven to get Lisa over that hump?" Anne is asking if you're a member, can they kick you off of that? I'm not sure, Anne, but I wouldn't put it past it. And Dusty's reminding everyone, don't forget to smash that like button when you get a chance. Tyranno says, great stories. Thank you, Tyranno. I appreciate that. Heather Salvatore goes, we are all crazy. We are all crazy in our own way. Oh, Wendy's saying I've been kicked off a sub on at Popcorn Planet. I'm a paid member and get no perks. Ha! So yes, I guess to answer your question, Anne, it's possible. Like the woman who married her husband after he passed away, at first this is unusual, but who are we to judge people for their grieving processes? Her creepy collection is sourced from auction houses, flea markets, antique shops, and people who don't want the items in their homes. We have an allegedly haunted wheelchair from a hospital. The person who gave it to me didn't want it in their house. I bought a memorial plate piece for a baby who had passed in 1906 for $8 at an auction. I also have a chain of human hair from a guy who was in prison for murder. He made the chain from his victim's wife's hair. That is an interesting piece. I'm gonna click to see. I could get into her Instagram. After I read the article, I'll click on her Instagram. Her collection includes a portrait of a little boy whose teeth are in a bag attached to the picture frame. Things like hair and teeth are seen as gross nowadays, but they weren't always seen this way. It used to be sentimental. The parents would save things and put them on display in the living room. I don't find that crazy because I do have a lock of my mom's hair. My dad had given it to me when my mom had passed, and I am grateful for him giving that to me. I do have it. It's locked, it's put away in my mom had like this makeup traveling like vintage makeup case, I guess you could call it, and I put her uh time her possessions in there. Anne goes, I have haunted dentures, I swear. Wendy goes, I have my daughter's baby teeth. Heather, whatever goes, that's special locks of hair. Chris Barber goes, I have a lock of my mom's hair too. Oh, that's awesome. It may seem weird to some, but I don't see the hair thing weird, but it's not. The problem is with this woman, she collects these things, which is nothing wrong with it. Despite the reputation of her haunted collection of items, she finds her home calming. There's mutual understanding, like this is your space to exit. You're welcome here. If you treat the items with respect, you can cohabitate with them. Although there's a period at the start where they're settling and things do happen from time to time. I don't believe the paranormal is something we should fear or ostracize. They were people like us and we should respect them as such. It's just one facet of who I am as a human being. I am a keeper of lost things and a custodian of stories. Actually, this woman sounds pretty cool. So here is, though I know the article mentioned her TikTok, but in this article, it gave links to her Instagram. I don't know if she shows anything in her house. Oh, I guess she has pre-order boxes. She has I guess this is a portion of her house. I mean, I guess she doesn't really show her house, though. That sucks. She doesn't really show her house. That's what I wanted to see. I guess she goes to haunted places. I mean, obviously, she's not gonna show her house, but I mean, like, the inside of her house. But I guess her Instagram doesn't. Bernadette goes, "My roommate once told me before he took the body away, the guy's wife asked if she could have his feet." What? Really? No way! Jennifer Jennifer Marie goes, "Did she need his fingerprint to unlock the phone?" That is so bad. You never know, Jennifer Marie. Some women can be terrible. Carol goes, "I have my dad's baby shoes and mom's flower bouquet from when they got married, and I think somewhere mom hid dad's kidney stones somewhere in the house." Oh, wow. Rochelle, yes, I am still hiding Skeleduck. He is somewhere in this background. Just remind me before I end the stream. Thank you, Gunner Girl. Just remind me before I end the stream because I always forget to reveal his location. Chris Barber goes, "As long as she didn't want them for anything weird." Oh, Bernadette! Bernadette went there. Yeah, but they didn't give them to her. Maybe his fingers. I'm not going to continue. You guys can read it in the chat. There it is. I am not continue because my stream is rated PG. All right, guys. That was going. This comment's going to rated X. Dusty goes, "It would. I agree with you. Wouldn't it decay and smell? That is just crazy. I mean, I get if you wanted fingerprints of the person, you can always ask the funeral home to get the fingerprints, but finger?" Kyle goes, "That's the nicer reason why she would want to keep the finger." Yes, that is actually. Rochelle, yes. Kyle goes, "Bernadette beat me to it." Jennifer Berry goes, "She was going to keep them in a jar of formaldehyde like the little pets." Heather, whatever, since she's putting her foot down and she's saying it's for his phone. Bernadette goes, "Maybe they were finger licking good." That is so crazy. That is crazy. Julissa goes, "She was going to visit Wendy's with the finger." I get. Julissa goes, "Remember the finger in the chili incident?" No, I don't. Jennifer Marie goes, "Witches used to keep the male organs in boxes as pets way back in the day. It's basically the same thing." Wow. That is crazy. Or no, she wanted to do like going on with the witches thing as Jennifer Marie goes, she wanted it to conjure up a spell to bring them back to life. I don't know. But I'm gonna go with Heather whatever and Jennifer Marie initially said it was to unlock his cell phone. That is what I'm gonna go with. Julissa goes, speaking of the Wendy's chili. Oh, someone claimed they found a finger and tried to sue, but they planted it. Oh. Anne goes, I've always been fascinated with the macabre. That I mean, nothing wrong with the paranormal investigator collecting items. Nothing wrong with it at all. I don't find it weird. I think actually it's kind of cool. I mean, she's giving it a place. She's respecting the items. Why not? She Bernadette, she wanted all the fingers? Curious mind want to know. All right, guys. Whatever goes get a mannequin like everyone else. Bernadette goes, yes, all 9. Oh, he was missing a pinky finger already. That is still a weird request. I'm sorry for laughing. Julissa goes, Skeleduck needs earmuffs for the stream. Yes, he does. This is Grace Report After Dark. Don't mind us. Rochelle goes, the finger thing is creepier than a ghost story. It is, because I'm like, what is she going to use it for? Jennifer Murray goes, she just wanted to complete her collection. That is, I have no clue. That's probably one thing I wouldn't ask for. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I'd be the type of person if I got into an accident and they couldn't put my finger back on, I would probably say, can I keep my finger? But I mean, that's probably as far as I would go. Carol goes, memories she would have with those fingers. Daniel goes, Skeleduck's been institutionalized by now. Jennifer Marie goes, wonder if she's still involved with his ghost. That's why I said she's using the fingers to conjure him back up to life so that she can have him forever. Wendy's giving a word of advice. Always carry ice packs in case you lose a finger. Rochelle goes, oh my God, I stumbled upon a documentary on YouTube a few weeks ago about fake realistic dolls who are made and created to be real life companions of these delusional people. It was so disturbing. I know, Rochelle, on a previous stream, I was talking about a woman being married to a rag doll and she had rag doll children and she took a picture in the hospital and everything. All right, guys. With the crazy finger debacle. I mean, this is not as bad as the woman who wanted who asked for fingers. So Kate Hudson can see dead people, thinks the afterlife will be effing weird but beautiful. The almost famous star says she was a little bit like Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense as a kid. Forget Love, Kate Hudson is talking about Ghost. The singer was asked about the long-standing rumors that she and her mom, Goldie Hawn, have psychic abilities while visiting Sirius XM's The Howard Stern Show on Tuesday. Her reply, I do not like Howard Stern. He's just, I don't know. I just, when, I don't watch him now, but when I came across him years ago, it just, yeah. I could see everything, Hudson teased before bursting into laughter. After host Howard Stern repeatedly pestered Hudson to tell him if the spirit of his later father was hovering around him, the almost famous actress clarified that her supernatural gifts don't exactly work like that. It's like you get these sort of messages, she explained. When I was a little girl, it was actually quite wild because I could see ghosts all the time. I was a little bit like the Sixth Sense, like I see dead people. It was a little bit like what when I was younger. Stern then asked Hudson to give him some hope about what lies ahead in the afterlife. I'm pretty close to the end, he joked. When I go, I'm going somewhere. In other words, you have firsthand knowledge that this is not the end of the road for me. Hudson wasn't able to give Stern a definitive answer, but she told him she does believe the afterlife is probably more scientific than we all even know at this point. I think it's very multidimensional, she said. We think we should be all knowing, but we're not. We see it when we get there, but I think it's going to be effing weird, but beautiful. This isn't the first time Hudson has discussed her paranormal connection. She revealed during a 2014 visit to comedian Alan Carr's Chatty Man talk show that she once encountered the ghost of a woman with no face. That was really creepy, she said. And it just ends there. Jeffrey Brigo's Howard Stern being concerned about the state of his soul in the afterlife. I agree with you. That's what I was thinking. I go, he was concerned? Kyle was going, are we sure she wasn't asking for a five-finger discount in regards of her husband's death? Okay, last one about the story. Rochelle goes, Fabletics are nice leggings created by Kate Hudson. I've never tried those, but I was curious about those. Wendy goes, Howard Stern is going to be his special place wherever that may be. Rochelle goes, I think Howard Stern better be praying. I what I remember of his show was, yeah, it was like, you want to show your boobs? I was like, what? I don't know who he was interviewing, but that I remember, like, when I clicked on it, that was like the where I clicked on. He was like, you want to show your boobs? I go, what? Leonard goes purgatory for Stern. That's why I've never watched it after that. I was like, Jennifer Marie goes, could you imagine him asking Lucifer to flash him? The worst thing is I can picture that, Jennifer Marie. Daniel Miles goes off. Yes, he is off the wall. I agree. Matthew goes, I first saw him in the middle of the night on TV in the early 90s. Rochelle goes, but look at Hollywood right now. Honestly, at least he was honest. At the others are just like Stern, but tried to hide. Julissa goes, Stern show always bordered on SH, and that is putting it lightly. Kyle goes, all I know of him is that movie Howard Stern's Private Parts, which I never watched that. Daniel goes, Simian testing was the first show I ever watched. Was the first and last show I ever watched. Chris used to watch him many, many, many years ago. I think I saw like 1 or 2 shows and then that was it. And it was pretty much basically how I said it. Like, so how big are those? I was like, what the fuck? Like stuff like that. All right, my next article is kind of interesting. I'm not sure. Hopefully, it's not a college dissertation project, but we'll see. So, AI ethicists warn of digital hauntings from dead loved ones. The ghost bots are coming. The internet is filled with personal artifacts, much of which can linger online long after someone dies. But what if those relics are used to simulate dead loved ones? It's already happening, and AI ethicists warn this reality is opening ourselves up to a new kind of digital haunting by dead bots. I don't know how I feel about this. I feel, yeah, this would, I mean, I kind of I kind of freaked out already. I mean, cuz I don't know if you guys have heard the saying that there's someone out there that looks like you. Um that's like your twin almost. Well, I had met there was this woman, this was years ago. My mom had passed. I don't know how long after she had passed, but my mom had passed already. And there's this woman and she looked exactly like my mom and it freaked the hell out of me because I kept looking at her and I was like, holy crap, that's like my mom, but it's not. Julissa goes, yes, they say 7 people out there look like us. So I don't know how I feel about, I mean, I have yet to see the person that looks like me. I don't know how I feel about that. I probably would think it would be cool, but I don't know about the AI thing. That would kind of Jennifer Marie goes, oh, well, the world really did need more of my beauty. Thanks, Anne. So I'm not sure how I feel about the AI thing. But well, here, well, let's read on. We'll find out some more here. People have attempted to converse with deceased loved ones through religious rites, spiritual mediums, and even pseudo-scientific technological approaches for millennia. But the ongoing interest in generative artificial intelligence presents an entirely new possibilities for grieving friends and family. The potential to interact with chatbot avatars trained on a deceased individual's online presence and data, including voice and visual likeness, while still advertised explicitly as digital approximations. Some of the products offered by companies like Replica, Hereafter, and Persona can be, and in some cases already are, used to simulate the dead. What? So is this what this art? This must be a picture of one of them, like a screenshot of one of those uh websites that can offer that. That is crazy. And while it may be difficult for some to process this new reality or even take it seriously, it is important to remember the digital afterlife industry isn't just a niche market limited to smaller startups. Just last year, Amazon showed off the potential for its Alexa assistant to mimic a deceased loved one's voice using only a short audio clip. I don't think so. I don't know how I feel about this because I don't know if it would help with the grieving process. I feel like it could possibly, I don't know, for me. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to I'm kind of speechless on this one. I am. AI ethicists and science fiction authors have explored and anticipated these potential situations for decades. But for researchers at Cambridge University Leverhulme Center of the Future of Intelligence, this unregulated, uncharted ethical minefield is already here. And to drive the point home, they envision three fictional scenarios that could easily occur any day now. In a new study published in Philosophy and Technology, AI ethicists Tomasz Holinek and Katarzyna Katarzyna Novas. Oh my gosh, I'm butchering this name. Novasik Basiniska relied on a strategy called design fiction, first coined by sci-fi author Bruce Sterling. Design fiction refers to a suspension of disbelief about change achieved through the use of diegetic prototypes. Basically, researchers pen plausible events alongside fabricated visual aids. And I love this. I love these leggings. Those are the ones I get. So how ironic that there's an ad. For their research, Holinek and Nowaski Bazikska imagined three hyperreal scenarios of fictional individuals running into issues with various postmodern presents companies, and then made digital props like fake websites and phone screenshots. The researchers focused on three distinct demographics: data donors, data recipients, and service interactants. Data donors are the people upon whom an AI program is based, while data recipients are defined as the companies or entities that may possess the digital information. Service interactants, meanwhile, are the relatives, friends, and anyone else who may utilize a dead bot or ghost bot. In one piece of design fiction, an adult user is impressed by the realism of their deceased grandparents' chatbot, only to soon receive premium trial and food delivery service advertisement in the style of their relative's voice. In another, a terminally ill mother creates a dead bot for their 8-year-old son to help them grieve. But in adapting to the child's responses, the AI begins to suggest in person meetings, thus causing psychological harm. In a final scenario, an elderly customer enrolls in a 20-year AI program subscription in the hopes of comforting their family. Comforting their family. Because of the company's terms of service, however, their children and grandchildren can't spend the service even if they don't want to use it. Rapid advancement in generative AI means that nearly anyone with internet access and some basic know-how can revive a deceased loved one, said Novosik Basinka. At the same time, a person may leave an AI simulation as a farewell gift for loved ones who are not prepared to process their grief in this manner. The rights of both data donors and those who interact with AI afterlife services should be equally safeguarded. These services run the risk of causing huge distress to people if they are subjected to unwanted digital hauntings from alarming, accurate AI recreations of those they have lost, Holinek added. The potential psychological effect, particularly at an already difficult time, could be devastating. That's what I think. I don't know what you guys think, but I think. Chris goes, my grandmother always told me I was her favorite granddaughter. I was her only granddaughter. Leonore goes, nah, just learn to like yourself. Daniel goes, ghost taxes coming soon. Wendy goes, maybe a better version of me? Jennifer Marie goes, my grandmother's too Catholic to ever admit it out loud, but we both know I'm her favorite. Kyle goes, I've been told many times throughout my life that I could pass as a body double for Prince William. Matthew, I agree with you. It pretty much hinders the grieving process. That's how I feel about it. I mean, maybe maybe I feel like messages, like, say for a mother that has a young kid and she knows she's gonna die and she leaves messages for her child, I feel like that's cool. But I feel like having the AI version of his mother that had passed would might um uh cause problems. I feel like. So it goes, these these services run the risk of causing huge distress to people if they are subjected to unwanted digital hauntings from alarming, accurate AI recreations of those they have lost. Holinek added. The potential psychological effect, particularly at an already difficult time, could be devastating. The ethicists believe certain safeguards can and should be implemented as soon as possible to prevent such outcomes. Companies need to develop sensitive procedures for retiring an avatar as well as maintain transparency in how their services work through risk disclaimers. Meanwhile, recreation services need to be restricted to adult users only while also respecting the mutual consent of both data donors and their data recipients. We need to start thinking now about how we mitigate the social and psychological risks of digital immortality. Novus Basinka argues. So, I don't know how I feel about this. Um, I feel like it can be damaging to your person. Like Matthew had said earlier, it could, hinder the grieving process. Daniel goes, I used my mom's chat account to send messages for a while after she passed. But guys, how do you feel about this AI chat, like a digital haunting by your loved one? I I I would not use it in, I mean, yeah. I get maybe down the line it would be something later to like hear my mom's voice again. I mean, now cuz it's past 20 years, like to hear my mom's voice again would be awesome. But I think I just don't like the idea of it. I feel like um you're going to be stuck in a like fantasy world because you won't be able to grieve your loved one. You'll want to hear your loved one's voice all the time, and then you'll be like glued to the computer. It's like Harry Potter when he would go to the mirror just to look at his parents, and he would go all the time and sit in front of that the mirror, and Dumbledore goes, it does not do to dwell. My god, I forgot the quote. It does not do to dwell, to live on dreams and forget to live. So that's how I feel like that could happen. It's like you're gonna live in this fantasy world where the person is living digitally but not in real world, so you won't live your life, you won't be able to grieve. So I feel like, and your loved ones aren't gonna want you to do that. They're gonna want you to live and and live your life and not moat. And I feel like that AI thing would cause you to be um not living. Heather whatever goes, yes, good quote. Shamanistic unicorn Tam goes, maybe if they created it themselves for you. Wendy goes, I'm not sure about it, Lisa. It's like the last saved voice message in the FaceTimes. True, but that's something different though. That's like a voice message you save. I feel like that's different than AI because AI is actually talking to you. Leonor goes, exactly, Lisa. Rochelle goes, it should only be allowed if a person passes certain tests to show they are not going to forget reality. True, I agree. Leonora goes, again, let people rest, no AI. Dusty goes like a hologram, something like that. Kyle goes, I'll haunt any of my ex's new partners out of spite. Heather, whatever, goes, yes, there's life still to live. Honor the past and move forward. Shamanistic Unicorn Tam goes, totally agree, Lisa. They would want you to go on. Jennifer Marie goes, okay, from another perspective, it is the current AI advanced enough to actually mimic the mannerisms of the past loved one? That is a good question. I am not sure. I am not too diverse with AI. I'm just Bernadette goes, is it just people or animals too? I think it's talking about people. I don't think animals. But you never know. Leonardo goes, didn't Johnny Depp make some kind of movie like this? I am not sure. I'm not sure if anyone in the chat knows. Carol goes, it could cause kids thinking that their parents is actually still alive, so they would never really grieve or realize that they're gone. I really don't like this idea at all. I agree with you, Carol. Um, I agree with you. I feel like you won't be able to move on and you'll be stuck, like I was saying, like in a fantasy world. In fact, you wouldn't grieve, and then finding out the truth, like all of a sudden when you go, whoever it is, like your parent passed away, and they'll be like, no, 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 the computer, but you're gonna say no, that's not them. And to be hit with that, it's gonna cause, I feel like that's gonna cause worse pain than the actual grieving process. Heather whatever goes, I paint pictures of my animals from my favorite pictures. I capture them with joy. Jennifer Marie goes, like so many other things, the idea is noble but has serious unintended consequences. Exactly. Dusty goes, Superman used to visit his parents, but I feel like Dusty was Superman. It was more when he was old enough that he was older. He was like in high school when he went to visit his parents. So I feel like, and it was more of a life lesson to teach him where he came from. So that's a little, I feel like that's a little different. That's a little different. Like I felt like Superman knew that his parents were gone and that these were messages left for him. That's I feel like that's a different thing. Though he did see, like I get what you're trying to say, Dusty. It's like an AI thing too, but I felt like Superman knew his parents were dead, and when he went to the, what is it, the Fortress of Solitude, um it was more of a life lesson, like his dad teaching him about Krypton and who he is and what he's capable of, type of thing. But that is a good one. Matthew goes, then you got a bad ghost using it to mess with the person. Carol goes, a future and a lot of mental health issues. I agree. Kyle goes, so the simulation in the near Death Star from Futurama. Carol goes, wasn't Superman parents were well, I mean, yeah, they were like, they were like holograms. Yeah. But kind of, well, yeah, I guess I just said AI because that's what kind of it reminds me of. Like the updated hologram. Jennifer Murray goes, repeatedly listening to a final voicemail or watching home videos over and over is understandable, but to carry on as if they never died, that's mental illness. I agree. I agree with you, Jennifer Murray. Dusty was saying those were previously prepared for him. Exactly. Like that, I don't see anything wrong with. With with if you know you're gonna die and you have a little one and you're preparing videos or messages um for your son or daughter, for when they get older for them to understand who you are type of thing. I don't that I understand. I get that. That is good for someone because then they can understand know who that their mom or dad was because maybe they were too young to even remember who mom and dad was. So that's kind of like to show them who the person was. So I have nothing wrong with that. Leonora goes to Transcendence with Johnny Depp. Jennifer Marie goes, denial is only one phase of grief, and I feel like this would only keep someone stuck in denial. Exactly. I agree. I feel like it's damaging to oneself. Um, it doesn't allow you to grieve. It doesn't allow you to come to terms with what happened. Um, and it's like it's almost like with the AI thing, it's almost like your loved one didn't die or pass away. So it kind of gives you um a false sense of reality. Chris Barber goes, I'm okay with Johnny's hologram. Leonore, thank you for your PayPal. Awesome show. Hearts for Leonore. And thank you, Heather, whatever, for your PayPal as well. Hearts for Heather, whatever, and Leonore. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate it. You guys, ladies, you are awesome. I tend to say you guys, but you guys know what I mean. Hearts for Leonore and Heather, whatever. Let me make sure I didn't forget anybody else. Jennifer Marie goes, and let's be real, it wouldn't only be used for loved ones that died. The obsessive people who can't let go of their partner that just left would, oh, yes, would take advantage. Creepy. I didn't think of that. That is so true. Especially when you, oh my gosh, I did not think of that, Jennifer Marie. They would, that, that would be so bad. The people that can't let go of their significant other, they would, I did not think of that. They would use that too. I did not think of that, Jennifer Marie. That's a good one. That's definitely creepy. They'll have their significant other that had broken up with them still on their computer. And they'll be talking to them like they're still in a relationship. That is creepy. That is definitely creepiness times 20. Eerie. Carol goes, that program would be abused big time. It would. There'd be other uses beside it. Yeah, there would be. Which is not that would not be good to anybody, I feel like. Chris Barber goes, I never wanted to see an old partner of mine. Heather whatever goes, I take a long time to grieve, but the day comes when it lifts. Leonore goes, that's why she kept the fingers. I have no idea. I really don't. That is an odd request. That is a super odd request. I would never dream. Oh my god, I would never dream of asking someone for my loved one who had passed for their fingers, all of their fingers. That is just crazy. That's why I think she wanted to use it for a ritual to keep him present. Kyle goes, want to go on a date with the real Lucy Lou? No, I'm going just to make out with my Lucy Lou boy. Don't date robots. Jennifer Murray goes, I really don't think she wanted the fingers for any perversions. Most likely just wanted to get into this phone. So she grabbed all the fingers to ensure she could open the phone. Yeah, but she could do that. Wait, she could have taken the phone and know what I mean? She didn't have to have the fingers. Carol, I agree with you on that one. I see a lot of bad things happening with this. I do. I really do. I feel like, mentally, it's not, it isn't a good idea at all. It's something I would not use, at all. Maybe, like, listening to a voice I get with the listening to the voicemail or have I stated previously with the, like, leaving messages for your kid, um, or for a loved one for later in life when they get older. I get that. I understand that. But the AI thing, I feel like that's too close to having the person still be alive when they're not. Chris goes, my phone opens with my face. Daniel goes more like probably for the safe inside the closet fingerprint safe. Yep, yeah, I didn't think of that one too. Jennifer Marie goes, I feel like we've seen enough movies about messing with natural human life that I'm shocked anyone would conceive the idea in the first place. Yeah, but knowing technology, there's always going to be someone trying to do something crazy and out of this world. And I feel like that AI thing is crazy. It's going to mess up a lot of people. Um, but I guess apparently you could do it now, and that's what the creepy thing is. Carol goes, watch it, Chris. Somebody would want to keep your face. Heather, whatever goes, if it can be done, some dork will do it. Exactly. Some high school student will do it. Heather, whatever goes, Murphy's weird science law. Jennifer Reed goes, my best friend is totally on board to live forever with space cyborg parts. Not me. Sounds exhausting. I agree with you on that one. I don't know. I always thought about Highlander when I was growing up, um, because he had lived literally forever at that point in the movie. And the only way to kill him is to get his head, right? And I had always thought when I was a kid, oh my god, that'd be so cool. Um, to live forever. And then as I got older, when you get older and you start, getting the stories and you start seeing that he's growing older, like he fell in love with a woman and he's still young and she's not, and she's making that, um she sees that that's happening, and then he has to bury her. How many times had he had to go through that? You know what I mean? And then I started thinking that sucks. I would not want to go through that. That has to be heartbreaking. Like, why would you want to go through that again after that? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I get what you're saying, Jennifer Marie. I don't think I would want to live forever. I think it'd be exhausting. I think because at that point, all your all your friends had passed too. So I don't see the point, and possibly all your family members had passed at that time. So I don't see the point of living forever. Like there's nothing, I don't think there'd be anything left for me after a certain time. Panda Bear goes, it's not like Ghost in the Shell and Cyberpunk. Heather, whatever goes, right? I want to live forever where no one has to do the dishes. Jennifer Marie, once the responsibilities of adulthood hit suddenly forever is way too long. Exactly. But Highlander, for some odd reason, he had money. Yeah, I don't think I can. I don't. I think it'd be a very lonely life. But when you're a kid, it sounds cool. All right, real quick. Skeleduck, before I forget, Skeleduck is right next to the critter, right where my finger is. I know I put him there before, but I thought that was a great spot in the first place, so I decided to put him there again. He's getting buddy buddy with my critter in the background. So he is right there. Rochelle goes, I now do dishes while cooking. I mean, that's probably like the best way. So that way you have less to clean after you cook. Carol goes, I would rather go back in time to fix some mistakes I made. I think a lot of us would like to do that for sure. Jennifer Murray goes, I never seen a vampire movie where they weren't jealous of the human's ability to age and die. I know a lot of people like to talk crap about Twilight, but there was Rosalie. The the one thing when I was reading the book, the one thing that stood out was Rosalie, and she was jealous of Bella because she could have a kid and Rosalie couldn't. And that was the one thing it after reading that part, I started liking Rosalie in the book. Bernadette goes, Pinche duck beak, you win again, Skeleduck. Daniel goes, it blends in too well. It does because of the white um board I have behind it. That I never turn on. I should move it because it says stay spooky. Because they like to make fun of the sparkling vampires, but there are some things in there that make sense. All right, guys, I'm going to open it up for questions. I'll stay on for a few more minutes. Ask away. Chris Barber goes, I have all the Twilight movies. Heather, whatever goes, it was fun. Let me just make sure. Because what happens is I always miss somebody. And I'm like, I don't want to miss anybody. Chris Barber goes, I like the books too. Leonard goes, I love Van Helsing anime. Lisa, have you? No, I have not. Sounds interesting, actually. Jennifer Marie goes, it's the glorification of toxic behavior for me on why I talk shit about Twilight. Carol goes, wasn't one of the Jurassic World the guy did a clone of his daughter? I don't remember Jurassic Park. I'm not sure, Carol. I've seen it, but I don't remember it. It's because it's not like it's not one of the movies. I mean, it's a cool movie. Don't get me wrong. I liked it, but it's not one where, I go back and watch it over and over again. Jeffrey goes, like, it's not romantic to wake up and discover someone broke into your home and stared at while you're asleep. Stop romanticizing creepy stalker behavior. I get what you're saying, Jennifer Marie. I get what you're saying. Kyle goes, Van Helsing or Helsing? That's okay, Rochelle. I'm just glad you can make it in on the replay and sometimes make it to the live. I totally understand, Rochelle. If you can't make it because of job. Carol goes, speaking of Jurassic Park, I'm pretty sure it was the one where they were selling the dinos to the highest bidder. I think so, but don't quote me. I'm not too sure, Carol. Leonora goes, well, technically, Van Helsing has control over Dracula. I love it. I have not seen that one. That sounds cool, though, Leonora. I'm not a big anime person, so I don't really watch it, but that one actually sounds interesting. Kyle goes, I haven't seen the Helsing Ultimate or whatever it's called. I like Castlevania anime. Carol goes, I have all of the Jurassic Parks except for the last one. I've seen them all. Super cool. I like the films. I'm just not, I guess I'm not like a huge fan of it. Jennifer Murray goes, Jurassic Park is a warning to this AI thing. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. True. True. Oh yeah, because with the dinosaurs and everything, and how they got out and started destroying things. Yes, yes. Rochelle goes, you were right. I should quit my job. Tell them it is BS. I can't pop in here like I should stick it to the uppers. Great idea, Lisa. No problem, Rochelle. Carol goes, my favorite is Blue the Raptor. Rochelle goes, in a better world with no bills. I know what you mean, Rochelle. I really do. Heather, whatever goes, the Wolf Siamese animated song. It's cool. Carol goes, cloning is not a good thing. It is not. I agree. Leonore goes, love Trinity Blood. Daniel goes, I like it when the kid says we're not compatible. All right, guys, any last minute questions before I end this stream? And then if you think of having a clone, you can have an evil clone. So necessarily you might not get the clone that you think you're getting. It could be a demonic clone of yourself, like an evil clone. So, yeah. That is crazy, Chris. Thank you, Carol. Saying good stream, very informative. Thank you, Carol. Appreciate that. Jennifer Marie goes, I'm an exclusive experience, no clones here, once in a lifetime experience. I mean, I know we always joke when we're working, I wish I had a clone of myself, because then I the job would get done type of thing, but I don't think I would actually really want to clone of myself. And then, like I was saying earlier, I think if they do a clone of somebody, it's not going to be the same person that comes out. It's going to be some like something's going to like trip or short circuit or something. Chris Barr goes, but I still love the show. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Heather Reddiver goes, good one, Lisa. Thank you. Stay safe. All. I'm the evil clone, not demonic, though. Grumpy is hidden for emergencies. Leonore goes, have you met a doppelganger? Leonore, I have not met myself doppelganger, but um I've seen a person that looks like my dad, and then I've seen a person that looks like my mom. Jennifer Marie goes, no, be the only person who could do your job so you're absent is felt when you leave. Oh, true. True. Then they'll realize like they should have treated you better too. Heather, whatever goes, I met my doppelganger when I was 19. That is cool. I mean, at first I'll probably be tripping out, but then I'll be like, you know what, this is cool. I know they on the news, um, I don't know when it was, but they were talking about people that had met their doppelgangers, and these people really did look like twins. And they're not related or anything. Heather, whatever goes, be nice to original humans. I agree. I agree. Bernadette goes, can we clone Johnny Depp circa 2000s? Shamanistic Unicorn Town goes, that is so interesting. Much love and blessing to you. Thank you, Shamanistic Unicorn Town. Daniel goes, when I moved to Oregon, I met at least 15 people that were doppelgangers to my friends back home. That is crazy. Cool, though. Heather, whatever goes, triplets that were separated. Everyone's going, dang, Bernadette. Yes, please, with the doppelganger of 2000 Johnny Depp. But Heather, whatever goes, we don't have to share them. So there'll be more than one. All right, guys, I am going to end the stream here. Thank you guys for joining me on this edition of Grayson Report. I will see you guys on the next one, which should be Saturday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Be there, be squared, stay spooky, and sweet nightmares, guys. Good night, guys. You guys are all awesome. See you on the next one. If I can find the button.